Oh, yeah. Here we go. Mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts. MMA. UFC Columbus show starts now!
The energy.
A little rusty.
No, Rusty.
But,
I apologize. I've been training.
Casey, I hope that's what you were saying when you were getting hyped up before your fight.
That was the song you should have came out to. But we will check in with Casey in a little while because the UFC is back in the biggest small town in America. They are back in the Arch City, back in Columbus, Ohio for UFC Columbus, going down tomorrow with the heavyweight division once again getting top billing as we welcome you to the live UFC Columbus preview show on MMAfighting.com. I am Mike Heck, joined by the Prince of Positivity himself, Mr. Alexander Kaley. Hello, sir.
Hey guys, how's it going? You guys having a good time?
Wow, what a start to the show. Let us welcome in the now former BTL champion, Mr. Jed Meshew. How are you, my friend? How are you hanging on the day after a devastating defeat?
I was never the champion, so it's fine. Phoenix was always the champion. I said that from day one. Now Drake is the paper champ, and that's okay. He can be paper champ as long as he wants.
All right. So let's get into this. And AK, I want to begin with you, my best friend. And I want to get into the gymnastics scale because this card is flying so far under the radar. The main event is Curtis Blaydes versus Chris Daukaus. We'll get into that in a minute. But top to bottom, there are some really good fights on this card. There are some high stakes matchups. There are a lot of very competitive fights on paper, but we are coming off of an incredible UFC London card, which will be in the running for the event of the year. Then we're heading into a weekend off, and then we're heading into the most loaded pay-per-view card of the year to this point at UFC 273. So pretty darn good card, very little buzz. What's the gymnastics score?
I mean, look, it can't be that high, but like you said, I do like a lot of the matchups in the card. I had mentioned this amongst us that this has several fighters that are in the MMAfighting.com global rankings, which is good. Though quite a few are on the prelims, which I'm not crazy about. Typical flyweight disrespect, and if you love flyweights, your rating for this card might be higher than mine, and I do love flyweights. How high can we go? I'll go solid 8. I'm not saying it can match the excitement of UFC London. That had so many things going for it. I think the matchmaking was perfect. I think the way they lined the card up was perfect. And then of course just the way it played itself out. They gave the fighters a chance to create some special moments, and several did. This card doesn't quite have that same element to it. Yes, you have the competitive fights. Yes, you have the name value, but it doesn't quite feel like there's as much on the line for everyone, with the exception, of course, of a couple of names, specifically Askar Askarov and Kai Kara France, who could be fighting for a UFC title in the near future, and are the fourth fight down from the top of the card. So again, it's a little. This one doesn't hit the what UFC London, like kind of the card alignment. I don't know if they quite got that right, but as far as the names on, it's exciting. So I'll go 8, but I will go no higher, Mike. I'll go no higher. I'll go 8, and I agree that it's flying under the radar. But somewhat understandably so.
Jed, it is a very solid card. It does lack that oomph, that buzz for some reason, and it's a tough card placement wise between London and UFC 273. Like, you have this great London card, the atmosphere is incredible. 273 on paper is just one of those wow cards, one of those can't miss events. And then here we have this Columbus card, which is again top to bottom pretty solid. Is this one that you'd recommend to your friends who want to watch MMA on a Saturday night? Or are you saying, nah, watch college basketball instead?
No, this is a definite pass. I think it's a good card. Like, if you like MMA, there's a lot on this card for you, but this is not how you bring new people into the fold, right? Like, God love him. You don't want Curtis Blaydes to be the dude who's trying to sell MMA to a prospective fan. Like, it's just not it. And the rest of the card is very good. If this still had the Jan Blachowicz, Alexander Rakic fight, we'd be getting a little closer to me saying, okay, maybe keep this on the alternate channel from the March Madness games going on. but I can't in good conscience tell people not to watch St. Peter's continue the run. Like that's just not me, Mike. I'm not going to tell them to deny themselves the greatest Cinderella story of our generation, possibly.
Well, let's get into this main event, gentlemen. Curtis Blaydes, winner of 5 of his last 6, taking on Chris Daukaus, also a winner of 5 of his last 6. 4 of those in his first 4 UFC fights. Lone losses during that stretch were via knockout by the KO King Derek Lewis for both guys. So, look, rankings-wise, on that by itself on an island, it's an important fight in this division, but poster-wise, marquee-wise, it's a fine fight, but I think it's pretty fair to say, AK, that this is a main event that doesn't set the world on fire. So your thoughts on the matchup between Blaydes and Daukaus from a competitive standpoint?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the odds. I really favor Blaydes here. I know that's the boring answer. I know. I assume that's where the odds makers went with it. Mike, I'm sure you'll give us the lowdown on that in a bit, but I like Chris Daukaus. My worry for him now is that Derek Lewis loss. I mean, anyone get knocked up by Derek Lewis, it's not like the worst thing in the world. But it was a great matchup for him to take at the time. A very high risk, but also high reward fight. This one is also high risk, high reward. But to take them like back to back, like now, if he loses this one, I don't know where that puts Chris Daukaus. So I am a little bit worried for him in that regard. But yeah, I just don't know if he has the wrestling to deal with Curtis Blaydes. Great grappler, very good jiu-jitsu. That helps you a lot. But I think as we know, great effective controlling wrestling is very likely gonna stop quality jiu-jitsu unless you're a Fabricio Verdum or somewhere on that level. I don't know if Chris Daukaus is quite there. So I'm really heavily favoring Curtis Blaydes. I think we're gonna see the usual, just kind of a lot of steady data takedowns, some ground and pound, some control. And I don't know, maybe I'm missing something with Chris Daukaus. If you guys have another view on that, I'm happy to hear it. But this feels like it has to be a 3-1, 4-1, or minus 400, I'd say, for Blaydes, right?
It's a little
Pretty
higher.
close.
We'll get to yeah, you're pretty close. It's a little higher. We'll get Jed's thoughts on the lines in a moment. But X's and O's, no lines, Jed. Just 2 guys getting in a cage and fighting. Do you like this one?
No, I mean it's fine. It's whatever. You're watching. I think Curtis Blaydes is one of the 4 best heavyweights in the world. So you're getting to watch like heavyweight is a very interesting division in that there are like 3 tiers of heavyweights. There are actually good ones. There are everybody else, and then there's like that small wedge of ones who used to be good and are still wily enough to beat a lot of the other people, but can at some point just kind of get old Andrei Arlovski'd out of it, and Curtis Blaydes is definitely one of the very good ones, and Chris Daukaus is kind of just one of the other ones. I think this should be pretty straightforward from a fight. Maybe it's a little more interesting if because Daukaus is kind of somewhat mobile. Maybe he can keep a longer range and force Blaydes to box with him a little bit more. But eventually, Curtis Blaydes is gonna take him down, and he's just gonna smash his face in while he's on top of him. Jiu-jitsu isn't a thing at heavyweight unless you're Frank Mir or Nogueira 20 years ago. Now it's just it just is what it is. So.
AK, do we have a poll?
Of course you have a poll. I didn't just do it one. You can sadly on YouTube you only do one at a time. Otherwise, believe me, there'd be polls everywhere. What is your level of excitement for UFC Columbus? At the top, Bart Scott, can't wait. Second, Will Watch, nothing better to do, which is currently leading at 51%. And there's a UFC card this weekend and is tied with worst card ever, both around 10, 11%. So, but 50%, 50% saying they'll check it out of our viewers anyway, saying they'll check it out for what that's worth. So, it's not like people are completely off on this whole card. I think there's like I said, there's some appeal to it. It's definitely one for the hardcores. I know. I feel like we're gonna have so much more to say about several other fights in this card besides the main event. And by the way, I just want to say I don't want to be negative. I don't think this is a bad main event. It's just it's an event where both guys I feel like have a lot to lose and not a lot to gain, and that's a hard sell. I think that's a hard sell for people. And also, as we kind of said before, with Curtis Blaydes, he's had some forgettable performances. Even when he wins, he's not the most crowd pleasing. I'm being much more diplomatic with it. I think Jed was. He's not the most crowd pleasing fighter sometimes, but I get it. They're heavyweights. You want to put them top of the card. I think you could have gone with Kai Kara-France and Askar Askarov, which we'll talk about more later. Heavyweights are heavyweights. Fine.
Yeah, it's sort of build on that, AK. So we talked about this on BTL, and Jed, we'll get to you. Don't you worry. Usually with these main events, we want these big stakes, right? And both guys really need a win to stay relevant. That's clear. Blaydes certainly needs this more to stay in the big divisional conversation, but that conversation is a little foggy right now because the heavyweight champion just had knee surgery. He's in the middle of a contract dispute with the UFC. So his status, even ever fighting in the UFC again, it's a question right now. It's a question mark. But Dana White has hope that this can be rectified. I think Ngannou will end up resigning. I think cooler heads will prevail. But you'd have to think the UFC is going to try to do something to at least get this division on the map. You'd have to think Stipe and Jon Jones are the guys that the UFC would try to slot in there first for an interim title to fight, should they go that way. But you also have guys like Ciryl Gane. You get guys like Tai Tuivasa and Tommy Aspinall, who are both just on fire right now. A lot of excitement around both those guys. And Curtis Blaydes, like Jed said, top 4 heavyweight in the world, certainly in the discussion. But I don't know, man. He just seems to always be a victim of poor timing when he has these opportunities. Again, seems clear Blaydes needs this more. But what does a win actually do for him, AK? Like, even if he goes out there and annihilates Chris Daukaus tomorrow, what will a win do for Curtis Blaydes outside of just holding his spot in line? Anything?
I can't imagine what, unless he has some super hype promo, ready in the can. He doesn't strike me as someone who's going to do that. I don't think he's going to look past Chris Daukaus, because again, we've seen him, Curtis Blaydes, unfortunately slip on the proverbial banana peel every now and then. Yes, against much higher ranked, more veteran opposition than Chris Daukaus, but again, this is heavyweight. You never know. And Chris Daukaus has some pretty good hands. I mean, again, he's won some fights with knockout. Yeah, I'd say I still look at him primarily as a grappler, but boy, he's been happy to throw, much to his detriment when it came to fighting Derek Lewis. But yeah, no, for me, this really is a holding your spot, holding court, whatever you want to call it, kind of fight for Curtis Blaydes. He just cannot afford to lose. Because in the long run, man, if he loses to, he has the 2 losses to Ngannou. So like, he's already kind of a hard sell, should Ngannou come back, if he comes back to the UFC, it's a really hard sell to give him a 3rd fight. So he has to beat Daukaus, and then he's probably still like 2 fights away. He doesn't want to stay in that short list. Like you said, they're going to, at some point, have to book an interim title fight. We all think it's going to be Jon Jones, Stipe. For whatever reason, those guys aren't available. Jon Jones, not the most reliable name, to put it nicely. We could get Blaydes, Stipe, a fight that he's wanted for a long time. But yes, he does have to win to keep that. But as far as advancing him, can he do anything tonight to advance him past Jon Jones or past Stipe in the pecking order? I really can't imagine what that could be. So that's a hard no for me.
Or past Tai, or past Tommy Aspinall right now. I mean, those are a lot of names to surpass right now. But what were you going to say earlier, Jed? You had that look in your eye.
Oh, I'm just not sure. Like, I think this is probably the fight you have to put atop this card. I think we'll all be in agreement. Kai Kara-France, Askar Askarov it's a better fight, quote unquote, better fight, more entertaining, more engaging. This would be, if you swap these 2 fights, we get 5 rounds of that, which would be nice, as opposed to probably 5 rounds of Curtis Blaydes doing Curtis Blaydes things. But I don't know. This probably is the best promotional choice. I don't actually know. I was because that's the issue with the card. Like the Blachowicz Rakic fight on top. Like that's it. That's the full stew. That's everything you need is come together. You got top to bottom good fights. You got a little bit of spice, a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of fun things going on with Brian Barberena and Matt Brown, kind of those stuff. You got mostly meat and potatoes with a main dish. This is all the potatoes. This is just potatoes and corn from the Low Country Boil. And I don't have any sausage. There's no shrimp. There's nothing that makes me go, ooh, this is where I want. Like, it's just all of it's fine.
Yeah, it's still pretty good. It's just missing that.
Yeah, look,
I'll eat
I'll eat everybody's been to it. Well, I don't actually know if everybody's been to a Low Country Bowl, but you go to a Low Country Bowl, the shrimp and the sausage, they obviously exit first. I'll still come back and eat the potatoes and the corn. I'm still going to do that as I get hungry in the evening, but you want all of it to really be like, yeah, this was a thing. And it's just not like Curtis Blaydes, any fight you wanted to swap, because there are other better fights on this card, but anything you put in the main event, it's just not going to wash down with that same sort of oomph that the Rakic Blachowicz fight would have had.
And the UFC was trying. I mean, it was kind of a long shot, but they were trying to book Max Holloway versus Josh Emmett for the main event of this card. So
yeah, that would have
been pretty sweet, but just didn't happen. It was, Ariel Helwani used the words Hail Mary in describing trying to get that fight together. And I think that's probably the right terminology in terms of putting that fight up on this card.
If this fight, like, I get why it's happening when we need to talk about the fight, but Khamzat Burns at 273 is like the feature bout. Great. We'll talk about that when the time comes. If that was the main event here, whoo, buddy, I would be all in on this fight night. Like, this would be everything. I'd be like, hey guys, I don't care if St. Peter's is doing the damn thing over on ESPN. Get on to ESPN Plus, tune this on, let's go. Like, this would be the fight card.
Yeah, that's like raises the gymnastics score to like a 9 or a 9.5 if you had that fight on there. Like a whole point. That's how
it's
how big
fundamentally sound. It just doesn't have the flash that it needs to draw eyeballs in.
Yeah, Khamzat's a guy you have to pay for now, unfortunately. But Jed, here's the betting lines, AK, as well. Curtis Blaydes minus 450, according to our friends at DraftKings. Come back on Chris Daukaus plus 340. Jed, to me, this line seems pretty perfect, but you're the MMA fighting, non-MMA hour gambling guru. You are the expert here. Is this line right?
That's a very narrow window you place me in, Mike. I think this line, sure. I think the line could be higher. So like minus 450 means it's about an 80% chance for Blaydes to win, and I would say he's 90 plus to win this fight. So I think the line could be jacked up a little higher. Outside of landing the best punch of his entire career, I don't see a path to victory for Chris Daukaus. So, that can always happen. You can never say never in this sport, but this seems very, like, in a straight kickboxing match, I wouldn't count Curtis Blaydes out of that fight, and we're not getting that fight. So I suspect that Chris Daukaus is going to lose, and I think the line could be higher, but, minus 450 is fine.
All right, AK, let's get to the picks. Can Curtis Blaydes extend this win streak to 2 fights when he really needs it, or can Chris Daukaus play spoiler, get back on track, and closer to the conversation at the top of this division?
It's hard to say because I hate to, one of the most overused words in MMA, exposed. Oh, was this guy exposed? So, they're his first loss in the UFC, facing a top guy. What was he exposed? I think, again, Derek Lewis has beaten so many people and knocked so many people out. Yeah, this looked bad for Daukaus. I wish it had been one of those fights where at least, Daukaus maybe like took a round first before getting knocked out. Derek Lewis has done that. He's given away rounds many times. That wasn't the case when he fought Chris Daukaus. It just looked like he was on another level. And I think we would all agree that Blaydes is around the Lewis level. Yeah, he's lost to him, but if they fought 9 out of 10 times, Blaydes would take some of those. God, I'm trying to think of a way that Daukaus can win. Besides this, yes, it's MMA, yes, it's heavyweights. But boy, the only thing I'm really trying to figure out also is decision or finish for Blaydes. I think Blaydes can finish this fight. I don't think Daukaus' jiu-jitsu is like so deadly that Blaydes has to be like super conservative. I think he's going to wear him down. I think he's going to make things very uncomfortable for Chris Daukaus for a couple of rounds. And I think he finishes TKO ground and pound in round 3.
Jed, who you got here? I know you got Blaydes, but how?
I think round 3 is probably like I'm in with AK. Maybe round 4. I have a lot of questions about Chris Daukaus. The first being like, shouldn't you probably just be a 205er? yeah, it feels like maybe you're supposed to just be a light heavyweight. But then beyond that, it's just like most of his fights have lasted one round. He's not going to do that here. What's he look like when he is repeatedly grounded and beat down? Like it's a really bad fight for him. And, maybe he hangs on for a decision. I think that would be some level of a moral victory, if we're being honest. But my guess is that Blaydes just keeps planting him and going to work. And 5 rounds is a long time to be under Curtis Blaydes. It can be done. Volkov did it, but it's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's clear Chris Daukaus is being slept on big time here, but this is also an awful matchup for him. And to be clear, not just for him, but Curtis Blaydes is an awful matchup for a lot of guys in this division. Like if Curtis Blaydes were to fight Tai Tuivasa, I would heavily favor Curtis Blaydes in that fight. Easy. Like I would favor him in that fight. Like Tai can land the big shot and end the fight, but Curtis would be a massive favorite in this fight. So it's not just Chris Daukaus. There's a lot of guys in this division where Curtis Blaydes is a horrible matchup for them. Right? So it just depends. Like my big question here is how will Curtis Blaydes approach this fight? Will he approach it like he did the Jairzinho fight and just take him down over and over and over again? You have this huge advantage. Do you want to use it? I mean, Daukaus is much, much, much better on the ground than Jairzinho. He is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Or will he approach it more like the Derek Lewis fight where maybe his ego gets the best of him? We've seen this in MMA time and time again. People think he's the better striker, or people think he has bigger power than me. I could do that. I could show you. I could prove everybody wrong. And then goes to that thing and then ends up getting knocked out. So I tend to believe he will choose the former. Blaydes is just so good with his entries. You know it's coming, but it's impossible to stop. I think Daukaus will be able to stay out of big-time danger for a little while. But to your point, Jed, that pace, that strategy played against you, especially from a guy like Curtis Blaydes, it's just so exhausting. It's just so demoralizing. So give me Curtis Blaydes to get the win. And I'm with both of you. 3rd round TKO, but up until the finish, this may not be the most thrilling fight we've ever seen. I mean, it's just going to be that. It may not. Let me pull up the rest of the main. Yeah, I mean, but Curtis will get his job done. He'll wear him out. And listen, it's all about getting the win in the second paycheck. So rest of the main card, we got Joanne Wood versus Alexa Grasso. That's co-main event. Matt Brown, Brian Barberina, featured bout at 170. You know that's going to be fun. Heavyweight division, we get Alexei Oleinik, Alir Latifi. Main card opens with Mark Chikasi versus Vyacheslav Borishev. You know that's going to be fun. But the third main card bout is one I want to talk about. It's in the flyweight division between Askar Askarov and Kai Kara-France. This will be a number 1 contenders fight. The winner will have to unfortunately wait a little while to fight for said title because all signs are pointing to Figueiredo Moreno 4 sometime this summer. Askarov unbeaten in 15 fights. He does have the draw to Brandon Moreno. I thought he lost that fight, as did many other people, but he has bounced back with 3 straight wins. Does have a weight miss, but he was fine today. On the flip side, Kara-France has been on a tear. He's got a lot of momentum, and he's not just winning and putting on exciting fights. Now he's out there finishing guys. 2 straight first-round knockouts of Rogerio Bontorin, and then the big one over Cody Garbrandt that got him a lot of attention. So this is a big one, AK, and this, to me, this might be the most under-the-radar fight of 2022 to this point. Am I crazy for saying that out loud?
No, not at all. I mean, look, it's flyweights. It's flyweights. Again, they're not even the co-main event. So if it's not,
they're not even people.
If it's not flying, yeah.
But other flyweights are in the co-main event, which is wild.
This is true, yeah, right? You're gonna put flyweights in the co-main event anyway. I don't know. So I mean, good for Joanne Wood and Alex Grasso. I wouldn't want to take that away from them, but I mean, we're always arguing for some form of meritocracy here. It feels like Askarov and Kai Kara-France, that's where they should be. Askarov, of course, has had all the arguments to have already been in a title fight. He did have the weight miss, so that hurt him. Also, he wasn't ready health wise. I think there's a strong chance he probably still would have gotten one of those title fights, but he wasn't prepared health wise. So credit to him and Kai Kara-France and the matchmakers for saying, let's stay busy. None of us have done enough to just sit around and wait for a title shot. KKF with the 2, back-to-back knockouts. Awesome. Huge statement victories, beating a former champion in Garbrandt. But I think he would be like, obviously if they gave me a title shot, it'd be great, but I don't think I'm in a position to sit around and wait. I want to stay busy. I want to get paid. I want to knock off another contender. So yeah, look, dangerous fight for both guys. Could either of them have waited for like a better opportunity? Maybe, serve as a replacement for this tetralogy between Moreno and Figueiredo. Yeah, maybe, but that's a lot of, again, just leaving things out of your own hands. And these are two guys who right now are in the prime of their careers. I don't think they want to risk that. Who knows? Maybe another flyweight leaps over them. Manel Kopp gets a big win, and he's an exciting fighter. He's got a big name. He jumps over both of them. So they really can't afford it. Whoever wins this one, anything can happen, sure. Bad decision making can still be made, and they don't become the de facto number one contender. But if whoever wins can say safely, I've done everything I can to earn a title shot. Now it really is out of my hands, but I've done everything I can. So super hyped for this fight, about as high level as flyweight gets outside of the top two guys who have been, holding on to those top two spots in the division. I'm pumped. I'm not even that bothered by the card placement. Like we kind of said before, like there's no real configuration of this card that would make it super exciting. It's made of what it is. The ingredients are what they are, as Jed was saying. And that's great, and that's a great thing. But yeah, really for us, if all of us who are watching, who are planning to tune in anyway, it doesn't really matter that much if Askarov and Kara-France are the second last, fourth last. It's all going to kind of blend together on fight night, I feel.
I didn't realize the lines were the way that they are. Askarov, I figured would be favored. I didn't think he'd be a minus 425 favorite.
425.
That line moved a lot overnight. I mean, he was like -4, -3 something, but the line must have moved.
Yeah, plus 320 the comeback on KKF. Once again, Kai getting slept on here. He's getting overlooked, Jed, when momentum can be so big in the sport, and he has a lot of it. And you can make, to what AK's point, that flyweight and anything can happen. You have to think that if Kai Kara-France wins, it's pretty much a no-brainer he's the number one contender. Askarov, I feel like, as good as he's been, and we don't use the word deserves that often in MMA, in meritocracy, but you can make an argument that Askarov certainly deserves it, but is he enough of a draw to put on a pay-per-view poster where you're like, oh, I got to spend $75? I think KKF has a better chance of doing that. But thoughts on this fight, thoughts on the line, and can Kai Kara-France spoil the party once again?
I am in no way certain that a win here grants either man the next title shot, just so we're clear. It would make sense, but for the fact that we're breaking new ground with the tetralogy, and there's a very good chance that Brandon Moreno wins that fourth fight. And if Moreno wins, they're just going to run 5 back. Like, that's just the thing that they're going to do. So, and they should, let's be clear, if Moreno wins, they should just run a 5th fight back. And so, sure, theoretically, the winner of this bout will be next in line, but they could be waiting like a year and a half. Like, I think I don't know what the betting line would be. I would put my money on the winner of this fights again before getting a title bout. Like, I just think that's the Pandora's box you open when you're willing to go into a tetralogy fight. I think, as it stands, though, it's a really good fight. It's interesting. I think the line's probably a little bit off. Like, KKF should probably be getting a little bit more respect, but at the same time, when I watch tape on this, I get why it's not. Like, KKF-France has been really impressive in this little run, and obviously just knocked out Cody Garbrandt, but there's a really strong chance that Cody Garbrandt's just actually not very good at fighting and caught lightning in a bottle that one time, which was dope. Good for him. He became a champion. You never lose being a champion. But there are explanations for his current run, whereas Askarov, I agree. I thought he lost to Brandon Moreno, but the rest of the people he has beaten, granted, they have been some competitive close fights. Pantoja, those were good fights, but he is very, very sound, like fundamentally sound, good fighter. And he's been hit by athletic strikers before and, survived through. So it is a bit like, realistically, the way for Kai Kara-France to win is to knock out Askarov. He's probably not winning the decision. He's not that good a grappler off his back. He's a little squirrely, but Askarov is actually pretty good at maintaining top position. So if Askarov can get takedowns, France going to lose. If he can avoid takedowns, then Kai Kara-France has an opportunity to land the big shot and get the finish. But Askarov's really tough. So I think the line should maybe be a little closer to even, but it makes sense to me why it's not, I guess.
Yeah. Like we want to throw minus 275, minus 300. I think that sounds
minus
about right.
300 feels correct to me. Minus 450 is a bit gassed up.
Agreed. That is a great fight. We get a lot of great fights on this card. Low key banger. We start with you, AK. What's the low key banger on this card?
Man, there's a lot of good ones. I mean, I could go to the bantamweights. Well, can I pick a fight that's not? There's a lot of good ones. Can I go with? I'll let Jed have the real, like, as far as competitive, like fight of the night candidate. Can I go with the one that I think, the fight that I think, the outcome, I should say, that we'll remember the most outside of whatever, a couple of the main card fights? Is that Mike? Is that okay? Can I do that?
Yeah, do whatever you want. Okay. Whatever your definition is, that's what we're going.
I want permit. We're best friends. Everyone knows that. I don't like to take advantage of that at the workplace anyway. But okay.
I love that you're trying to softball me the good fight. Have you looked at this card? I'm not taking the good fight, man. I know we all know the fight I'm saying, so you can take the good fight if you want it.
I can't believe my guy Scott McCrate is not in the comments. This is his time. Is not in the YouTube. It doesn't look like Scott. If you're out there, shout out, please. Manon Fiorot fan number 1.
He is the number 1 Manon Fiorot fan.
Constant. I God bless him. I love this guy. I think she is going to knock out Jennifer Maia. And I think she is. I've been like, and listen, people know me. I'm the most like moderate when it comes to predicting, like, oh, people making that leap. I'm always like, yeah, if they do this, if they do that, and bring them along slowly, maybe after this fight. I think she got a stroke of luck getting this Jennifer Maia fight. Jennifer Maia is hittable. She's a very good fighter, but she is hittable. I don't know if Fiorot is someone that she wants to be hit by. You don't want to be hit by anyone in the UFC, but I think Manon is like legitimately. I think her knockout power is very real. I think Maia taking this fight is, again, so low reward for her. Yes, it's kind of cool to be able to like snuff out an up and coming contender, so she can have that. But really, Manon can gain so much from finishing her. So I think she's going to have us talking early on the card with that knockout. And I think that's one storyline that when the night's over, we'll kind of be like, man, she kind of stole the show. She was maybe one of the 3 stars of the show. If you want to view things through that lens. So that for me is my banger. Not necessarily because I think it'll be a great fight, though I think it'll be entertaining for as long as it lasts. But I think Fiorot is going to put her away with strikes first or second round.
Damn.
I'm going for it.
I love that. Love that energy.
That's
put up a poll, AK. Put up a poll.
Low-key banger. Low-key banger poll.
On,
all right. Go, Jed.
Look, one, just so it should be noted, I didn't realize this until you guys were talking about earlier. There are 4 flyweight fights on this card. No wonder this card is buried and no one's going to watch it. 4 flyweight fights is a lot of flyweight fights for one particular fight card.
All featuring ranked fighters. All
of them like good high-end fights. Yeah, realistically. Mike, I'm going to leave you the good fight of the card, the Nicolau Dvorak fight, which is obviously arguably the best fight in the entire card, because the low-key banger is it's what it always is, guys. We have 45-year-old Alexei Oleinik, who is still coming out here and scrapping. He is close to a geriatric. That man is going to have a retirement card soon, and yet he is still fighting on UFC main cards, fighting Ilir Latifi, the people's champion. This man, a blown-up light heavyweight who we all remember when Ilir was like the internet's favorite for a hot 2 years, him and the horse and everything going on there. He's great. This is the best fight on the card for 2 reasons. One, they're heavyweights. They both have about 6 minutes of cardio. If this doesn't end soon, it's going to be hilarious. And 2, we're going to answer the question, guys. We're going to answer the immortal question of what do you do when an unstoppable force and an immovable object collide? Because Alexei Oleinik is the foremost Ezekiel choker man in all of MMA. And Ilir Latifi does not have a neck. So how do you choke a man without a neck? It can't be done, but if a man can do it, it's Alexei Oleinik. I am here for this fight.
The only thing is, I maybe I missed it. Did you mention at all that he's still going for number 60, Jed? He's still going. He's been on the hunt for number 60. Yeah, for a little bit. He's on 50. 59 professional MMA wins. A little inside baseball here. I shouldn't spoil it because I mean, when we see it, when it happens, it'll be glorious. Hopefully, it does. Is our own Jose Youngs has created a Alexei Olenek 60 MMA wins graphic quite some time ago, and it has been sitting in storage, collecting dust. It is waiting to fire. We are just waiting. We just need Olenek to get that win. So very exciting. We're hoping. He hasn't. It's been
if he comes out and Ezekiel chokes Alir Latifi, who doesn't own a neck, it will be the most pristine way for him possibly to get to 60 wins. And he should immediately retire, just immediately lay his gloves and walk off into the sunset, the hero that he is.
We are approaching almost 2 years without an Olenek win. He's fought 3 times since his last win, and it's May 2020. Split decision win over Verdum.
In one of the weirdest fights that's ever happened.
That was a strange one.
Definitely was. Dvorak Nicolau is a great fight. I'm going to go a different direction. I am going to the bantamweight division. Danaa Baccarie versus Chris Gutierrez.
Awesome.
This is a sick fight.
Awesome.
Really good fight. I was super looking forward to the Baccarie Montel Jackson fight. I mean, that one, my eyes opened wide when we confirmed that one. I was so excited. Jackson out, but Gutierrez is a great replacement. Chris is on a roll. Baccarie is on a roll. This is probably a bantamweight matchup between two of the most underrated bantamweights on the roster right now. I mean, I think that's a pretty fair thing to say. I'm going with that one. No one's talking about it, and I think it's a really, really good fight, and it's a big one. Getting into the top 15 at 135 is very difficult to do, and only one of these guys will probably have the chance to get there because the division's so loaded, and this is the opportunity for one of these guys to make that leap. I don't know if they probably won't get into the top 15 with the win here, but at least they'll be eligible, and they'll probably move up to bottom half of the top 20. So, like low 20s. So that's a great fight. Very competitive. Both guys can strike. Both guys can bang. Love it. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's other divisions where those guys would already be ranked. Chris Gutierrez, like 5 straight undefeated. There's a draw in there, but undefeated in his last 5. And Baccarie, 3 first-round knockouts. Like if this was a heavyweight, he'd be in the top 10 right now. So it's unfortunate that Gutierrez and Danaa both just one of the deepest divisions in all of MMA. That's a great fight. This is a good card.
It is.
This is a good card, top to bottom. This is a good card.
Yeah, if Danaa Baccarie was in the heavyweight division, he'd be fighting Curtis Blaydes tomorrow. So there
exactly.
You go.
Man, that's an image. Curtis Blaydes just one hand smashing back.
All right, let's go to the peeps. We got a few. The ceremonial weigh-ins you can watch on MMAfighting.com at 4 p.m. Eastern. So
shout out Damon Martin. Damon Martin has been on the scene.
Yes, Damon Martin on the scene, but look who's on the scene in the bottom right-hand corner.
Oh, my God.
Undefeated MMA fighter, inspiring media members everywhere. In fact, the Alta training has opened up an MMA media scholarship.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Because of this man right here.
Yeah.
Going out there and getting the job done.
This man is going to get
Casey Leiden, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, this man is going to get some media members. He is going to get some media members killed. This man right here is going to get some media members killed. When Ant Walker is taken out on a stretcher, you remember whose fault it is. You remember who to blame. I'm sorry.
I blame Dan Cormier. He got me.
I just saw Ant tweet about it earlier. Ant, I love you. I'm not calling you out. I'm sure you do great. I'm sure you do great if you choose to do this.
I have.
Ant could do quite well.
Yeah. Ant's come over here, and I have beaten him up in my dojo. So I can help him. I can guide him. I'll be his mentor.
Wow.
Yes, if you haven't watched it yet, the final video of the Walking the Walk series is now live on this here channel. Highly recommend you go watch it. Behind the scenes of Casey's fight, and there's a moment afterwards where Casey finally locates Esther Lynn, the iconic voice, and I will admit I got a little watery-eyed. I did. I definitely did. That was I DM'd Casey right away. I was like, "Holy moly, man. Damn it." Got me all weepy. What a moment that was. So highly recommend it. Go watch it. It's an emotional roller coaster. It's tremendous stuff.
Thank you. All right. Now back
30-24.
30-24. You know, I did edit the piece, and I was rewatching the fight, and from an unbiased perspective, a 10-8 round would have been nice, just one. But I'm just saying. All right.
or three of them.
Not gonna be greedy. All right, here we go. Let's talk about these UFC fighters now.
There's Scott McCrate. There it is.
I knew he was there.
There it is.
There we go.
Art Scott McCrate.
Scott, that rivalry review of Manel Firo and Liam McCourt is not coming. By the way, I'm just letting you know it's not coming. It's not coming. He always has to.
David Tennant, has Blaydes ever cut a decent promo?
Is he bad? He's not particularly bad though, right? He
doesn't care.
Yeah, that's a problem.
He extremely is just like, I know that you don't like this. I don't care. I keep winning. Like, he has told me that point blank at least 2 different occasions.
He's real.
Like, yeah, it was just like 100%. Like, I know that fans don't love this. I do not care. I am winning.
Yep.
Respect the hell out of it, honestly. But he's
Agreed.
not. That's not what he's in this for. He's not trying to cut promos. He just wants to be the best fighter he can be.
I don't think there's a promo he can cut that will change his, like, put him in a title fight next, unfortunately. But
I don't know if he like Karate Kid crane kicks Chris Daukaus and then calls out. I don't know. I'm still no.
That would include a promo. So yeah.
like if Stipe's sitting in the row and Blaydes does the crane kick and then jumps out of the cage and like slaps Stipe in the face, he might get it then. Is any fighter making their UFC debut tomorrow?
Yeah, we got a few. Kisriev from the Contender Series.
Yeah, that's right. He's
finally.
He's had like 5 fights on the books already.
He was booked 3 times in 2021. They all fell through 3 times.
And he's fighting Dennis Tululin, who is also making his UFC debut.
Yes.
So
he'll be replacing.
Good on him.
I hate that I can't pronounce his full name properly. Abe Magomedov, I think I call him Abu Magomedov, who I think was also making his debut. And so he's he will not be. He won't be. But yeah, is that it? Is that the one fight?
I believe that is it. Yeah, Bruno Souza debuted. Yeah, Saldana debuted.
Yeah.
Kisriev went from Wellington Turman to Kyle Daukaus to Alessio Di Chirico to Abe Magomedov down to Dennis Tulin. That's a downward slide of competitive level.
He just wants to get in there now. Fingers crossed. Again, there's still a lot that can happen between now and Saturday night. He just wants to get in there. He doesn't care who he's fighting. You know,
it's fair.
Yep.
All right.
Joseph Boza, should Stipe really be in the interim title picture? We haven't seen him since Ngannou won the title. Well, we know how Jed feels.
Jed, what do you think
48 fights in a row, and he still wouldn't be in Jed's interim title picture. But yeah, I mean, he lost it. He had the title he held the title longer than anybody in the history of this division. If this is any other division, Stipe would have got an immediate rematch. And yeah, he should be in the like Stipe versus Jon Jones is the biggest fight you can make without Ngannou in the picture right now, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the biggest fight you can make.
Sure, in that very specific scenario, I allow it. How many wins does Stipe currently have over current ranked heavyweights in the UFC rankings or in ours? It's 2 because I think we still have Overeem ranked. And he has the 1-1 with Ngannou. He has none over UFC ranked heavyweights. I'm not here to say that he hasn't accomplished a lot in the sport. He obviously has, but he spent 3 years fighting Daniel Cormier, who is retired, and also had one relevant UFC heavyweight win, the knockout of Stipe. He needs to fight somebody. Like, I feel like I am the only person who cares, but it drives me crazy that he is going to sit and wait. I'm like, dude, you haven't beaten anybody that is currently ranked. You might well, but like, I think Blaydes runs him. I would just have him fight Derek Lewis. He will beat Derek Lewis, and then he will at least have a thing to hang a hat on. It just kills me that we are all about Stipe, and he hasn't beaten anybody relevant in like 7 years.
But you know what's interesting? Him sitting on and waiting, like, might actually prove out to be the right decision.
Oh, it's definitely right for him. It's good for him in the end. But
it worked out
just,
from during the Cormier trilogy. He didn't want to fight anyone
like,
during the Cormier trilogy, and he got the trilogy, the Cormier fight, right?
Tua,
He's either going to fight.
It
Go ahead.
shouldn't have worked out for him, which is infuriating. Tua wants to fight him. Go fight Tua. You will rinse Tua. It will be very easy work. And then bulletproof, number one with the bullet, give that man a title fight. Like, I don't feel like that's asking a lot to ask him to actually beat a relevant heavyweight in the past 5 years.
Yeah, the derby made a lot of sense about a year ago. It still could make sense now. And if they can't do Stipe versus Jones, like I said many, many times, Tai Tuivasa, in my opinion, should be the next man up because you may not get another shot to put him in a title fight. So just bounce him up there. He could fight Stipe, gets the fight he wants, gets a title fight, gets a bag, as Jed Meshew likes to say quite often. That's the way you go.
How long has it been since Stipe fought?
A year.
Since the Ngannou fight last
Is it over a year? Last
March.
March. So coming up on a year.
I think we're it
We're
is
over
a year
a year.
Sunday. It's
Over
a
a
year
year.
Sunday. It's March 27th. So it'll be
How
a year.
long?
So
So it's a year tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the
tomorrow.
26th, so it's a year on Sunday.
Oh, you're right. Golly. Sorry.
There's a follow-up question. I don't know if you saw that, Casey, from Kat asking, Alexander Romanov is undefeated. Why doesn't the UFC promote him? He could fight Miocic and Ngannou. I don't know if you'd want to throw him in with either of those guys right now. He's super talented, obviously. He's really fun to watch. Like, he's a fun kind of sometimes this is so mean to Curtis. We're really like dragging Curtis Blaydes. There's Curtis.
He's fighting. He's got a fight on the books.
He doesn't have a fight. No, but they're saying why isn't he promoted more? And I'm just gonna there's Curtis Blaydes type of grapplers who they're not that fun to watch, and there's Romanov type of grapplers who are super fun to watch. This guy's like this range to suplex people. So yeah, but he's very smart. He's just doing the right thing. He just jumped in, as Mike was going to say, to take the Tanner Boser fight. But again, these names on his resume, should he win that fight, I mean, he'll be a pretty heavy favorite, probably at least 3-1.
Yeah,
he'll be 5-0, but it'll be against guys Roque Martinez. I love Roque Martinez.
Aspinall and dudes like that.
Yeah, I love Roque Martinez. And the Juan Aspinall fight was just hilarious. So Jared Vendera, it's not his fault. It hasn't been given the kind of names to elevate him yet. I think if he beats Tanner Boser, we're definitely going to see him get a top 10 guy. If he doesn't get a top 10 guy at that point, it's a screw up on his manager's part, the UFC's part. He does have all the makings of a guy that I think will fight for a UFC title someday. Oh, Mike is shaking his head. Mike, are you not on the Romanov train?
I'm certainly on the Romanov train, and I would love to see him fight a top 10 guy, but he's not going to, because who in the blue hell in the top 10 is going to be like, yeah, I'll fight that guy? Because it's going to be very difficult. He's going to be in the
Curtis Blaydes, if he loses. If Curtis Blaydes loses to Chris Daukaus, he would fight Romanov.
He's not going to have a choice, unfortunately.
Or wins, yeah. I was thinking wins.
Like, Curtis just has to fight a bunch of people forever now.
Oh, that's tough.
I mean, that's a night that would actually be pretty interesting. Romanov's really good. I think the Aspinall fight was kind of interesting because we saw him get pretty tired in that fight, and I think the Boser fight's a pretty good matchup for him, especially if he could keep it off the feet, and he could throw and sling a little bit himself. So that'll be fun. But we'll see what happens.
If he beats Boser, will you guys finally put him in your rankings? Because I have him above Chris Daukaus in my rankings.
I had him. He was in my rankings for a little while.
Was he?
I don't know.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened
yet. I don't know if I have him in mind. I have to look at that.
No, I believe I'm the only one that has him in their rankings. Oh no, Steven does. Look at Steven. Way to go.
He has been. I know I've had him in there before. I just don't remember when. It's been a while.
I wanted to bring this up. It's not a question. It's more just a question for me. But, we see the path to victory for Blaydes. You see a lot of top control, grinding it out type stuff. But what do we see in Chris Daukaus' game that suggests that that's going to happen to him? Has he been grinded out before in fights that we've seen?
It's less
are we just assuming Chris Daukaus can't
just
survive
hasn't. Well, I guess Abdurakhimov was a pretty good wrestler, but not the same kind of as.
It's very different, yeah.
As Blaydes. Oleinik is a good grappler, but I mean, there's just a huge age and athleticism gap there. Yeah, I just don't think he's fought anyone like Blaydes. I think that's the issue.
So there is a bit of a mystery as far as Daukaus on his back.
It is entirely in support of Blaydes and his abilities, and not.
Yes.
I've watched. I mean, also I don't think Chris Daukaus is that nimble of foot. He's giving up 20 pounds to a guy who's very good at wrestling. That seems not good for him in these things. Like, I just think there's, but no, like we haven't
being a
seen him
small
get
heavyweight.
tackled.
Just being
Yeah.
being small. Okay.
Yeah,
I think
I was just kind of wondering if I missed a fight. Kind of, we're just kind of going by more. It's more of a Curtis Blaydes thing than a Chris Daukaus.
I think he's defended like one takedown in the UFC, so we haven't seen like it happen a lot.
Yeah, I mean he's good off. He's been taken down. It's just he's pretty good off his back. Like he's pretty good at missing out on a lot of damage, but it's just a 25-minute fight, and Curtis Blaydes can do that all day long. So I mean, it is a mystery. You're absolutely correct. It's mystery versus history here, and Blaydes is a tough matchup for almost everybody in this division. It's a tough sell, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, I'll move on. Let's talk about. I don't think we've mentioned this gentleman at all. These two gentlemen, really.
It's a good fight.
How is Neil Magny not on the main card? Oh, prelim. I get it. Prelim headliner. Okay, that's a very deliberate. That's a very deliberate prelim headliner. That's not like
for a fight night though.
Yeah, like I would put him and obviously I would put him in the opener instead of Jakizi and Borshov. But if you're at the UFC, you don't see Jakizi and Borshov as a preliminary ESPN Plus / ESPN headliner. I don't know. I always want ranked guys to be up there, but I get the thinking here.
Jakizi Borshov shouldn't be on the main card. It's the only one that's like pretty bad to be on the main card. You could have a number of prelim headliners. Like, frankly, it is incredibly disrespectful to Nicolau Dvorak that they're the second from the bottom. They are two. I think the UFC has them as top 10 flyweights, both of them, and they are in like the least rememberable position. So. You could have done a lot with the prelim main. This fight should be on the main over Jakizi Borshov.
Jakizi and Borshov is kind of the Mike. You always say like if they're hoping for a knockout. They're hoping one guy knocks the other guy out.
Exactly. That's why this card is the first
kind of
one.
opener.
Dude,
yeah.
Then do that with Kizriev. Like put the new hotness on there.
Yeah, there's other options.
Isn't it?
It's a middleweight fight though, right? You never know. You can't trust middleweights, Jed. You know that. You can't trust them.
I don't know.
I mean, listen, Jakizi can bang. Man. It's gonna be fun. Like for as long as that fight lasts, both guys are gonna land big shots. It's gonna be a fun fight. It might get a little sloppy.
Like a real world where Jakizi's just like, oh, this dude can't wrestle and I can. I'm just gonna sit on him. Like, I think he gets dinged up a bit on the feet early and is like, I'm just gonna tackle him.
He's an alpha male guy. He's an alpha male guy. He can get up. Yeah, but he can get up.
Okay.
If Magny wins, by the way, this is how crazy it is. That's kind of buried. If he wins, he will make history. He will make UFC history. He will tie GSP for the most wins by a welterweight in UFC history, and that might happen on the prelim headliner. So it is strange.
He'll favorite to make that happen.
And then he'll cut a tremendous promo calling out Khamzat Chimaev, and then that fight will still not be made.
Of course, obviously, yeah.
I'd respect him though, because nobody is
100%. 100%, and he should. He should call out Khamzat every day for the rest of his life.
He'll always have that. I've been saying that since day one.
I think the fact that the UFC put Magny so low on the card just shows you how that Khamzat fight would never happen.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Even though I wanted to see that fight actually to me made a lot more sense. I mean, the Gilbert Burns fight is obviously awesome, is cool, but at the time, Magny might have made the most sense, and I still don't understand. Yeah. And poor Neil Magny.
It did not make the most sense.
Which one?
Because Neil Magny is like a tough out, and if you lose to him, that sucks.
Oh, well,
you're trying to springboard Khamzat into a title fight. You probably can't get him on.
Okay, well, I guess from a promotional standpoint, it didn't make sense, but from a competitive standpoint, I liked it.
Tremendous competitive fight.
Yeah. We're talking two different points of view, but I understand what you're saying 100%.
Neil Magny's just like better Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee called to fight Khabib a billion times and never got it because he could never do it. Neil Magny didn't get it because he was an actual problem. Like, he might beat Khamzat because he's just good, and nobody wants that.
All right. Next question. That's more of a comment. What do you guys think about this?
Grasso versus Wood will be fight of the night.
It could be.
I think it's gonna be an awesome fight. I don't think this should be co-main event, but I'm actually super excited for this fight because Grasso's been out for a while. But what do you guys think? Just a fight.
I think this is like maybe the fight I'm the least interested in watching.
Oh,
Ooh, why?
really?
I have a very strong suspicion that Joanne Wood is shot, and we just don't know it, and we're about to find out.
Then
I
it's a
think there's a
showcase fight
really,
for Grasso then.
I mean, I think it's either way. I think it's a showcase fight for Grasso.
Yeah.
Like, I think she is going to win. I think that there's a very strong chance he gets her first, like Grasso gets her first stoppage in however long, 10 years or whatever it's been. Like, Wood got like an obvious Talia Santos is Talia Santos, but like she looked very, very comfortable in fighting Joanne Wood. And I don't like what that pretend. Like Wood's 35, maybe 36. She's older. She's been fighting for a really long time. And like she's obviously she's done. She should have fought for a title. Injury to Shevchenko happened. I think we all believe how that fight would have gone, but like,
But she earned
what
the
is
shot,
her
though.
last
Yeah.
good? She earned her shot.
Yeah.
But what is her last like really good performance? Like, I mean, I guess Jessica, but
That was a good performance.
That fight doesn't stand out as like.
I
That
mean,
fight
honestly,
does not stand out to me as
the
exceptional,
the
especially
Murphy
given
fight
the
to
one
me,
I was on.
the fight that a lot of people thought she won.
That was a good fight. Yeah.
Maybe I don't remember that fight that well.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Like
It was
I know
I
what you're
just,
saying.
yeah, but like the Andrea Lee fight, like I think there's a real chance that she's done, and so this fight is on paper is more interesting than it's actually going to be in the cage.
But it looks like the placement of this fight though means that the UFC's got a lot of promotional trust in Grasso. They're really
I think that's probably true.
yeah.
And that's why I think as Yadwinder suggests here, it could be the fight of the night. Almost be like if it's between this and like a Chris Gutierrez, Donat Baccarie, or Nicolau Dvorak, and this is like a good a decent to not just say is a good to great fight. I think they'll give the will give the fight of the night to Grasso and Wood, not to the undercard guys.
Does DraftKings not do fight of the night odds? Dang, that's lame.
They should.
They really should. I would be pounding Dvorak Nicolau. I think that fight's going to be a heater.
It's gonna be a fun fight. Like if it just depends. Like if Joanne Wood is going in there like I just have to win, then it might not be the fight of the night because she would probably just be better off taking Grasso down and not standing with her. But Joanne Wood's not really that kind of fighter. Joanne's like, let's just get in there and scrap, bro. And Grasso can get into it. That'll be a fun one. If that's the game plan Wood goes, if Wood just has that effort mentality, then it will be a fun fight. But if Wood has that, I don't care how I do it, I have to win mentality, then it might not be all that exciting.
Check the MMAfighting.com. Great website. Gambling preview that's going to drop in, I think, 2 minutes. I'm long shot of the week is in that fight. Right. We're running it back. We succeeded with Meatball Molly in her first TKO. We're doing it again.
Oh, man. D. Tedeschi 1. Why are we not hearing much or anything about how Matt Brown could equal most knockouts in UFC history with another one tomorrow? That's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. This fight's going to be super fun. Super fun. Matt Brown fighting at home. He's going to get that nice reaction. It's going to be a good moment. And Barbary is tough as hell, man.
This is like, I think the theme of most of these questions is why aren't people talking about this? Why aren't people talking about this card? Yeah. Guys, listen, direct your questions to the UFC. No, you're right. This is look, Magny tying GSP for wins should be a big storyline. Matt Brown possibly getting the most tying Derek Lewis, most knockouts in UFC history should be a big storyline. Askar Askarov and Kai Kara-France possibly becoming number one contenders is a big storyline. There's really, again, Curtis Blaydes in another world would be much better positioned as a star, but we know why he isn't. This is the definition of a card that has again all the right fighters on it, but just that doesn't necessarily make for, when you put it all together, a compelling all-time memorable show. Well, now we'll see differently. Of course, Sunday morning we have completely different thoughts about it, but on paper, yeah, there's a lot of stuff people aren't talking about, and it sucks. Dvorak and Nicolau, they're both top 10 in the UFC. They're top 15 in Fighting's global rankings. Second fight of the night. People, the nationwide arena isn't even going to be full when those two guys fight. So this is the card of why are people not talking about this? You can again say that about a dozen different things that are happening on Saturday.
To be fair, the Nationwide Arena might not be full by the time Joanne Wood and Alexa Grasso fight. Like I don't know how. I have no idea what the fans are going to be like.
It's their first time there in 2 years.
They're fighting after Matt Brown, so yeah, Matt Brown will bring people in.
Sure,
that's going to be the people's main event.
I think 2 years hasn't it been way longer than 2 years?
Oh, sorry. I think they were supposed. My bad. They were supposed to go there.
Yeah.
In 2020. Sorry.
It was one of the first canceled cards, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, postponed till now.
You're right. It was not canceled. No, it was not. That's right. That's right.
Just postponed.
Just postponed. Yeah, I'm really surprised that as far as just like there's for the UFC for the first, I guess, domestic fight night to leave the Apex, there isn't more of a, I don't know, something, but oh well, whatever.
It comes between two events that they cared about.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, UFC London was obviously always going to be a huge thing, and 273 is sucking up all the energy in the room. This is just the middle child, and that's where it's going to be.
Yes, my bad. September 2016. Quicken Loans is not the same thing as Nationwide, is it? Is a different
arena, 5.5.
Right?
No idea.
So 5.5 years. I assume it's not the same.
Corporate sponsorship works.
I know. That's what I'll check right now. No. Oh no. That became the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. So this is different.
The last time I was in Columbus was Ronda versus Misha, Strikeforce.
Damn. First one.
That was it. I think we're good on questions.
Anything else?
Wait, hold on. Wait, there are a couple. Wait, just a couple of fun ones. Are they
right now? MMAfighting.com. Right now, they're happening right now.
So don't switch channels. Just wait for the clips later. All right, freak it. Let's do this. Let's get out of here.
Freak it.
All right, go to MMAfighting.com and watch the face-offs right now.
Best website in the world.
Number one.
That's right. Jed's gambling preview just dropped, so check that out after the ceremonial weigh-in. So just if you stay on MMAfighting.com for the next 5 hours, you're good to go. You can just stay on it overnight, and then AK's predictions are going to drop, and it's just
one championship. One championship.
One championship. 1X is going down too. Yeah, 1X is
it.
going down. Yeah.
Come back periodically. Give us those clicks, those sweet, juicy clicks.
No. How long they stay on the site is another metric, Jed. They got all kinds of metrics now. I'm telling you.
No. I'm in it purely for the clicks.
Oh, just the individual clicks.
I am the clickbait media, AK.
Oh, God.
Is that you? All right.
We'll be back, 3:30 Eastern tomorrow for the People's Pre-Fight Show, so join us for that. But in the meantime, for Casey, the champion of the universe, AK, Jed Meshew.
30-24.
Go watch Ceremonial Weigh-ins right now, MMAfighting.com. Good night, everybody.
Love you guys.